What advice do you have for the other founders? These are all hospitality. They're kind of in your same wheelhouse. The people that are on the call. What advice do you have for them around kind of surviving and thriving and scaling their businesses?
Yeah, I mean, I think as you all know, as entrepreneurs, there's every journey is different. Every opportunity is different. There's a lot of, you know, it's perseverance is effort is one part of it, and there's some luck involved as well. I'm not sure what advice I can really give that's like that is relevant to everybody. I think for us, like one of the best things I did personally was, I worried less about the specific opportunity and more about team. Like Steve and John were people I'd worked with for 5 or 6 years, had a lot of trust. I knew these guys from a value standpoint, and I also knew how smart they were. Like I always tell everyone that I was the third best member of this team, no question, right? I think that as we started to find an opportunity that we wanted to work on, finding something, it's interesting, like, within restaurants, it turns out those VCs that give us advice that this is not a good category weren't wrong entirely, right? And so for us, like one of the biggest challenges was, like, even though we saw like this big industry, like I remember like the thing that really got me going was I was like, wait a minute, there's 600,000 restaurants, right? And 1 in 10 American jobs is in restaurants. It's this massive industry, and they haven't moved to the cloud. It's like that simple. That's the fundamental thing we want to do, right? Why isn't there technology on the cloud? It's simple. But it turns out like the VC concern, which is like, their late adopters don't want to spend any money, was real, was very real. And so one of the biggest pivots we made is one of the few things we did, there's like 3 or 4 things, but one of them that was crucial to our success was we changed the business model of point of sale, right, within restaurants. And Square had started to do this in other categories too. And we said it wasn't about, monetizing SaaS and monthly fees and hardware, right? And coming up with a cost structure where it was $50,000 to deploy a restaurant on point of sale. Like instead we said, like, it's like more like the razor blade model. We said, we want to give away the hardware, right, and the software, right, as a loss leader and monetize something else, right? And like before Toast, like payments companies were like these big banks and processors that were separate from technology companies, and we brought them together, right? This is a whole category of fintech that's exploded now, and back in 2013, it wasn't as hot. And so the business model part was really important for us, right? So if you're in hospitality, like I think it's really like the companies that really have done well, if you look at some of the companies that really scale, the business model is very much about monetizing, right, the payment stream, right? You look at all these companies like Uber and DoorDash and OpenTable and others, often it's more about monetizing transactions than it is about SaaS fees. And I think in small business, that's largely, I tend to agree with. I think in hospitality and small business especially, finding business models that work, I think is really important. And then lastly, I think, on the, especially in the early days of like trying to find product market fit, and this is an obvious thing to say, is like, be persistent. You put in the effort, right? The first 3 months, 6 months, a year, we had nothing to show for it in year in. And like I remember our wives, Steve and I are friends outside of work as well, and our wives were like, "What are these guys doing sitting on their couch? They get some real jobs." And we stayed persistent. We were lucky, like in the months 13 through 18, things started to turn around. And so like if you're in it, like persistence is worth it. Don't give up too early. You might be around. Some early success might be right around the corner.